Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the St. Francis College podcast. It is me, Izzy, once again, and I'm actually pre-recording this introduction ahead of the recording I have with the guests because I just wanted to briefly state what this next episode is going to be because I'm unbelievably excited about it. It's very, very unique, and I did not realise that we would be recording an episode like this so soon. In this next episode you're going to hear, I'm going to be joined by 4 alumni students that went to the college in the 1960s, and I'm going to be talking to them about what their memories of it were, what the uniform was like, what the food was like, what activities they did, what the atmosphere was like, just a whole bunch of things that I cannot wait to find out about them. And I'm really grateful for them being on the podcast. I already know I'm going to be absolutely fascinated by what they have to say because, I've been here 15 years, and in that 15 years the school has changed so much already. So if the fact that these women are going to come in and talk about how the school was in the 1960s, that was okay. I can't do maths, I don't know how many years ago that was, but it was a long time ago. So how much the school must have changed since then. I know it's going to be so different, and I cannot wait to find out about that. I am going to stop talking because I feel like in previous episodes I've just talked far too much in the introduction, so I'm going to stop talking, and I can't wait for you all to hear what they say. Hello, today we are joined by St. Francis alumni students who are here in the 1960s, and I'm really excited for them to be here today. But the first thing I want to ask them to do is to introduce themselves.
My name when I was at school was Gail Pullman, and I'm now Gail Edwards.
My name when I was at school was Jane Bearline. I'm now Jane Hunter.
My name was Marion Sutton, and now I'm Marion Payne.
My name is Annie Ross, and I was Anne Ross.
It's very, very nice to meet you all. Thank you for coming here today. So the first question that I wanted to ask you was, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think back to your school days here?
It was a lovely, light, nice school to come to, but very strict and very ordered from my other previous, when I was at primary school in Hitchin. It was completely different, and of course it was all one sex, and I hadn't been used to that at all with being with all girls.
You stayed here throughout your secondary school experience?
Yes, I came in the last year of the prep school, in fact.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then stayed for the whole senior school, well, until the 5th form, because in those days one didn't, not so many stayed on for the 6th form as is nowadays.
I came in, I think, 1953 when I was 5 and a half.
Oh, goodness.
And stayed till I was 15 and a half.
Wow.
So, I was here all my school life.
Yeah, that's like me, to be fair, because I've been here since I was 3.
And as previously said, it was very very controlled, very strict. But you respected that. You didn't sort of question anything like that.
Yeah, because that's what it just was in those days, wasn't it, really?
It was how it was. And you used to have to bow to the nuns when they came along, and you'd never be rude to them. No. You might be rude behind their back, but you'd never rude to them. So, yes, it was very strict. I loved it here.
Yeah, really that's good. That is really good.
I came actually when I was 4 and a half, so I was quite tiny, and I stayed till I was 16. Quite a lot of uniform we had to have.
Yeah.
Different things for netball, hockey. You had different uniforms for everything. And we had to have 3 hats.
Did you wear them on different occasions then?
Well, in the summer you wore the boater, just like a brown felt kind of hat. And then for any churchy kind of things, you had the chapel cap.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's
that's completely different to how it is now.
Right, so I came when I was 12, and I stayed till I was 16, where I went on to a 6th form in Kent. Strangely enough, my memory of it isn't about strictness. It's more about the fact that initially, as a boarder, I was quite homesick, and I did try to find ways of actually coming out of the school just to get a little bit of breathing space by just escaping the odd hour or so out of the building. I've got very good memories of the art department, and I think it was Sister Philomena at the time who was the head of art, and I put a little on the memory tree. I've put the strongest memory of her was she would take the hands off the wooden saints for us to draw. And I thought it was very, very funny at the time. And she was actually the one who put me on the path in my career in the arts.
So what do you do? So if you don't mind me asking, what do you do
What did I do? I went to work for a very big stained glass company. I did a degree first.
Oh, that's cool.
And I worked for them as a designer, but also as a maker as well. And we did big windows and domes for the Middle East.
So you're very artistic then.
It was the art side that grabbed me.
That's really lovely. So the next question I have was, how would you describe the atmosphere of the school in the 1960s? And I think a common theme here is that you've all said it was quite strict. Did you ever feel really relaxed or comfortable? Did you feel quite tense at all?
I think it was just the normal for us. We didn't expect anything different. Like you weren't allowed to run in the corridors at all. I remember that. And then you got conduct marks. And first of all, when you got a conduct mark, if you did something wrong, you had to go before the prefects, and they would really have a go at you and saying you were letting your house down, because we had 3 houses, I think, St. Benedict's, St. Bernard's and St. Vincent's. And they would sort out what you had to do, what punishment you had as well.
What were the punishments back then?
Mainly staying after school and doing written work. I can remember once in the summer, the courtyard in the middle of the school, and having to weed that.
Oh my goodness!
It was very hot. I was always getting conduct marks, I'm afraid. And we had these striped dresses, and I remember thinking, bending over, we looked like a lot of prisoners weeding this courtyard. And then also when you had the conduct mark on the Friday morning when you went into the theatre and all the nuns were there, all the teachers, and then your conduct mark was read out by Sister Angela. And she would tell the school what you had done wrong, and then also your punishment, and you had a letter sent home as well.
Goodness, it was very like a public, shame almost.
It was a public shaming, more or less, but we were used to it. It didn't stop me getting conduct marks. And it didn't have, I haven't been harmed by it.
I didn't get many conduct marks, probably because I was clever at getting out of it. But I do remember that very well. But we were so used to it being strict that it really didn't matter at all.
So would you say it was a mix of some people obeyed the rules and some people didn't?
I think most people obeyed them because there was no point in not.
Yeah.
We didn't know any different anyway. That was the only school I'd ever been to. So I presumed that schools were all like that, but obviously they weren't. But the nuns were lovely, give or take 1 or 2 of them. But all you could see was their face. They were completely covered. It didn't make them we weren't frightened of them, I don't think.
So you were quite relaxed around them?
Very, yeah.
Yeah, because I suppose that's all you knew as well.
Yeah, so I never saw any problem with it. It hasn't affected me at all.
Oh, that's good.
I remember getting a few conduct marks, but I remember thinking how unjust they were, because I remember one where I didn't take my paintbrush to an art class, and I was given a conduct mark for that. And I thought,
really?
It's not so, why is that so important?
That's really harsh.
And the punishment I had was something like write out 100 times, I will never forget my paintbrush. So it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
And I think once, because I used to come by bus, I didn't wear my hat on the bus, and I was reported, and I got a conduct mark for that. You had to wear that, not just in school and around school, but actually, in a public area.
Yeah, so very strict on uniform then.
I haven't got such strict memories of the strictness. It was more to do with the religion, the way in which we, as boarders, we had to get up early in the morning to go to Mass. I don't know if you all had Mass every few days, early in the morning. Do you remember that? Down in the houses, in the dark, we would get up and walk through the field up to the church that was in the building and go for some sort of morning Mass. Yeah, I think there was definitely an atmosphere of religion in the background, though, wasn't there? And I used to be fascinated by the more relaxed novices rather than the full order nuns, who would take any opportunity of letting off steam. And I remember seeing them running through the fields with their veils flying behind them, doing races. And it was lovely to see, actually, because then after they'd taken their orders, they would become much more sedate, really, I would think. And
so did you used to go to chapel every day in school?
I don't remember us going every day, but there were certainly quite a lot of services that we went to. But My memory's a bit vague with that.
Yeah.
But I do remember the early mornings in the dark, getting dressed, 4 of us in the bedroom all shuffling around trying to get dressed very early and cold, and then walking up through the field going to an early morning service.
The next question is, what were your favourite subjects, teachers, and why?
My very, very favourite teacher was Sister Dominica, and she taught domestic science. So it wasn't just cookery, because it was the actual science as well. And she also taught needlework, which I wasn't very good at, but I loved her subjects because I thought so much of her, really, and I would follow her around all the time. I never liked, I'll tell you the subject I hated most, which was maths.
I agree.
And I used to avoid most of those classes as much as I could. I loved English literature as well, but we had various teachers because we didn't have not all the teachers were nuns. We had other teachers as well that came along later on in the school, I think, in my school life. But Sister Dominica was my very, very favourite.
I have to go along with that as well, because Sister Dominica was lovely.
Was she like a
really
fan favourite?
Nice. Sister Philomena was lovely as well, the art teacher. And Sister Christopher, who was the biology teacher, and she was lovely. They were just quite large ladies, weren't they? But they were very jolly and very kind. So yes, maths again was not my favourite subject with Miss Wilson. But that's another story anyway.
I'm going to echo what you've both said. Sister Dominica was really lovely. I loved English and I hated maths as well. So reading books I used to love. You know. So again, love of English, really. Yeah.
Well, it's a bit like me, really, because I take English Lit now and I really don't like maths. So the same.
Another little thing about Sister Dominica, when I was in the needlework class, and I had hair down to quite long hair, and I'd grown this lovely long fringe. I was about 15, I suppose. And Sister Dominica had always said to me, Gail, you must pull your fringe back because it's going to ruin your eyesight. I was sitting making this wretched blouse, I think, with French seams, which was extremely difficult. And it had taken me forever and ever. And I was working on the sewing machine, and she came along, and my hair was like a curtain in front of my eyes. And she came along with her scissors.
Oh my goodness.
And I was mortified. I mean, even though I loved her dearly, she's still mortifying because it had taken me forever to grow this curtain in front of my eyes. But my mother had no sympathy when I went home. She said, you should have done what Sister Dominica said. And I think that was a thing in those days, that if you did something wrong at school, there was no sympathy when you got back home. You hadn't obeyed the rules. So that was it.
You were just expected to always obey the rules. And
you
that
were.
Was that.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And like Brodie said about the hats, you know, even if you were at the bus stop and you didn't have your hat on and somebody saw you, mainly a prefect would report you because they were not particularly nice people, and you would get another contact mark for that.
Oh, goodness me. So the next question is, what were lunch times or breaks like back then?
Lunch times were very strict. We had a lunch monitor at each table. Also, one of you was selected to go and collect the food from the main table, then serve it to the rest of the people on your table.
So what was a lunch monitor? Was that?
Well, that was the one that collected the food. And then you had a prefect, I think, on most tables as well to keep you in order. I don't think there was very much talking at lunchtime, was there? It was mainly fairly quiet. Sometimes we'd have one of the nuns reading to us, I think, as well. But afterwards, if you were the lunch monitor, you had to do the washing up as well. We ate in the gym, and then at the back of the gym was this big kitchen where they prepared the food, and then you went and washed up afterwards. So that was the whole of your lunch hour.
Goodness.
Gone.
So did that, like, the monitor, did that rotate around various people?
Yeah,
okay.
You did it for a week, and then somebody else had to turn on your table. And another thing, you had to eat everything. You were not allowed to leave any food. I can remember walking, because I hated any milk puddings, and I had to walk around with this rice pudding for the whole afternoon, and I wasn't allowed to leave until I'd eaten it. And I don't like rice pudding.
Yeah, the food was pretty dismal. Prunes were the ones I hated, and people used to do Tinker Tailor Soldier with the stones. I never got past Tinker. As long as you had one, you were okay. The food was not very nice at all. Fish pie, which was not nearly as exciting as it sounds. Just splodgy food. And I think it used to go into a bin after that. You used to have to empty it into a bin. And just be grateful that you're still alive the next day, really.
Yeah.
I don't have any memories about that because I took packed lunches for the whole of my school life.
Smart choice then, is from what I'm hearing.
I escaped that food, and I just used to have a packed lunch. The people who were doing that had their own separate table. So I didn't have not so much discipline at lunchtime. It's quite different.
Did the majority have school meals instead of packed lunch?
Yes.
Yeah.
But when I was very tiny and first came here, the first meal I did have was a fish, and it was full of bones. And I went home and cried, and I said, I don't want to eat there. So hence the packed lunches.
I think in terms of the food, my biggest memory, which is also probably applicable to Christine as well, is that's the wagon wheels that we used to have at tea time. And you either love them or hate them.
Oh, is that why they're in the...
Yeah, that's right.
I
We
was
brought
like,
them
that's
along,
very random.
to refresh our memories. Ironically, I thought I must try wagon wheels again a few weeks ago, and I loved them.
They are nice.
They've
Do
got
they
a
have
strange
jam in?
texture.
Imagine, do they have jam?
No, they've got no jam, but they've got some
the
marshmallow in between.
Yeah. Was that like a popular snack then?
It was what we had at tea times.
Lovely.
But in terms of break times, one of my strong memories too is in the common room. I think it was a Thursday night. We would absolutely rush there to hear Top of the Pops. Now, that's definitely the 60s and was a really great time for music. And we were fairly obsessed with getting there and also getting enough space to see it on the little television. So that's a really good memory. And then we'd immediately hoist our skirts or our dresses up as high as we could.
Just remembered we had a tuck shop we could go to at break time. I presume it sold chocolate and everything like that. But that was down near I can remember exactly where it was as well. But I can't remember any more than the fact that we had chocolate available, which was quite nice. So
was that quite a popular thing where people used to go at break time and get? Yeah,
I think people used to take turns to serve.
It was a very good tuck shop.
Very
actually.
nice. So the final question is, what did you take from your time at St. Francis that has stayed with you throughout your life?
I think as a boarder, it taught me to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And I've always been that. And always to take responsibility for the things that I did or do. And it kind of links up with being put into a building, not seeing your parents for, I don't know, every term, not seeing them and seeing them in holidays.
You have to be quite
resilient.
You
have to be resilient.
Yeah.
And I guess that's been part of my life. So I've taken that from here for sure.
And quite independent as well.
Quite independent.
Yeah.
I think being able to mix with all sorts of people, and very much in those days, because coming from a small town like Hitchin, which was very different in those days, when we didn't see many foreign people, but at school we were mixing with people from all over the world, really, weren't we? All the borders, which wasn't very much in our life at home or in the hometown. So I think that was really good. And it taught us did teach you a lot about discipline and obeying rules and being self-sufficient, I think. It taught us an awful lot, really. I really enjoyed my time here, I have to say.
That is really nice to hear.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was a happy time. Very grateful that my parents sent me here, because I could have just gone to an ordinary school, but they gave up things to send me here. I'm very grateful for that. And I think
really
I had a
lovely to
really
hear.
good education here, which I'm very happy about.
What countries were the boarders from?
Oh, they were from all over: Africa, China, Persia, which it was in those days, Poland, Germany. My best friend was from Poland. Yeah. Oh, Egypt. I remember there was an Egyptian girl as well. Yes. And of course, quite a few children, I think, whose families were in the services, who were abroad and sent their children here. But we didn't mix a huge amount with the boarders, which was, I did, but it was quite segregated, wasn't it, really? The day girls weren't allowed really into the boarding part of the school. And like I said, this is the first time I've been in this part, because it was the convent, and that was it.
I liked it so much here, I sent my daughter here.
Oh, really? That's lovely.
So,
carry on the legacy. Perfect. Thank you all for coming on. I'm really grateful. You all did amazing. And just thank you for coming on the podcast. Was I grateful, you ask? Well, good question. I said really far too much in that, but it's fine. Anyway, quick outro. You know when wagon wheels were mentioned, I really, really want one now. Also, when I was there, this is completely off topic, but when I was there, before we went into a different room to record this episode, I did spy a Colin the Caterpillar cake, and that did really intrigue me. Could not get any better, if you ask me. Was a bit jealous I missed out on the wagon wheels, I'm not going to lie, but I won't hold it against anyone. The school is so unbelievably different now, and I don't want to say insane, because I feel like I say the word, I don't think I've said it that much on this podcast so far, but I say the word insane to describe things a lot. But quite frankly, it is insane, because the school is just so different now to how it was back then. You know, of course, we don't have nuns anymore. Things that they were saying about where you were basically publicly shamed in assembly obviously does not happen now. I would raise a few questions if it did, quite frankly. We don't have all these, different kind of hats. I remember in prep we used to have, I have absolutely no idea, but it was this beige colour hat that I remember you used to have in prep, although I don't see people with them anymore. And that was only a few years ago. Well, only a few years ago. It's quite a few years ago now. So that's another thing that's changed. And also, the food has improved since then, may I just say. So if you're worried, we're not being forced to eat anything and walk around the school with our lunch plates, okay? Panic over, that's not the case now. But yeah, I just think it's so interesting how vastly different the school was back then. And I said it in the intro that I already knew that I was going to be fascinated by how different it is. And I jinxed it. I was correct. I was absolutely fascinated by it. And I can't get over it, really. I mean, I can, because that's how I did picture the 1960s being. Things change really quickly is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, it's so lovely to have these, experiences to look back on and to reflect on how much it's changed. It really was a great opportunity to actually speak to the people who went to school during that time, who lived through that school experience, compared to, people like me who go to school now. We have an alumni organisation called the St. Francis Association, and that helps keep people in touch with each other and keeps them informed of school news and reunions like this one. So it enables events like this to happen. So there is a alumni organisation, and if you are an alumni and you want to find out more about this, please just contact the school reception for more details, because they are the ones that can help you get in touch with the school again. Right, I will wrap it up. Before I do, I just wanted to say, I just think it's a lovely thing, and I think the wagon wheels and Colin the Caterpillar did probably make it better, I can't lie. And I really hope that, that always continues. Like when I'm in my, 60s, 70s, 80s, if I come back here with all, the people in my year and all my friends, and we see each other the first time in decades, I would absolutely love to do that. So fingers crossed someone keeps it going, because I just think it's really cool. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the St. Francis College podcast. I had such a good time speaking to these amazing women and finding out about how different the lives were back then and how different their school experience was back then, and it was such an interesting conversation. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh, I've repeated myself saying really, really. Anyway, I really, really got to stop talking again now. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all the guests who came on this episode. I really hope you enjoyed. And yes, like always, see you in the next episode.